There we go.
I was in that foreclosure class we did 17 years ago.
Were you? Wow.
Yes,
See?
we had it across the hall.
Yes, yes, yeah, woo, wow. It is your responsibility to click this when somebody says the admit, it's your responsibility to click the button and admit them.
Can I move?
Can you move?
Yes.
Can you move where?
Have a seat.
So just when they click in, you'll see a blue. So I'm just gonna go by this. Feel free to stop me at any time. But this is a very simple procedure. Believe it or not, we're gonna be out of here probably by 2:30, which is our normal time, okay? So, and then I have to make sure this works. No, it's not working.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's do this. Now it's not working. Let's say that again. Say that again. Oh.
Nick,
Okay. Frederick Howard's masterclass on how to quickly get into your real estate business. 6 letters. Okay. Who's gonna? You want to be the clicker for the next slide? Okay. So the purpose of this masterclass, the purpose of this class is to get the thorough understanding of the foreclosure process and to use this process to build a spoke in your real estate business. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. I can talk to you about foreclosures all day, but you have to be able to put yourself in a place of knowing what the process is when you're dealing with foreclosures. Next slide. Next slide.
Oh, that's me.
See, I heard you. Just click down here, right here, right there. Okay, so meet your how to build your real estate career business working with foreclosure expert Frederick Howard. And yes, I am an expert in foreclosure. I love to say that. Listen, when I started in my real estate career, I was a full-time pastor. At that time, my business, I was working part-time at the airlines. I was working 10 at night to 6 in the morning. I came to the office from like 12 to about 5. And so I did that. I rinsed and repeated along with a full-time job. So not only was I pastoring, not only was I working at the airline, but I also was a hairdresser at that time. So I was actually doing all of those things along with my real estate career, but I knew that I did not want to get laid off from my job anymore because that's what happened when I was working with the airline when 911 happened, okay? So I went into real estate and started doing that. And so as I was building my business, I had a few wins and successes that caused me to want to get a coach with Keller Williams. Now, many of you that don't know, Keller Williams Mastery class or their max coaching is $1,000 per month, and you meet with your coach once a week, twice a week. Once a week for how long? For half an hour. For half an hour. Did you hear that? $1,000 a month. You meet with your coach once a week for 30 minutes. Now, mind you, I want to put some meat to this. Now, you have a coach, you have a mentor that is guiding you on the principles of KW to build your real estate career. So please take advantage of that. Now, mind you, the coaches with max coaching, this is what they'll do. They'll ask you, hello, Frederick. There is no laughing, there's no talking, there's no, oh, how was your weekend? No, there's what did you do in your real estate career? How many contacts did you make? Why didn't you do the contacts that were on your homework? What are we going to do next week? Am I right, Bob? Yep. There's no kidding around. It's 30 minutes pure of what did you do? When we sit around with your mentors and your coaches and we're asking you the hard questions, we're not doing that because we just want to do it. Yeah, we laugh and talk, but guess what? We want to see you productive. And one of the questions that my coach asked me, he said, well, how are you going to build your business? Did you reach out to your sphere of influence? And I said, I can't reach out to my sphere of influence because all of my sphere of influence is at my church. And I think it's a conflict of interest for me to reach out to people that I'm talking to every week. I think it's a conflict of interest. And he said, okay, no problem, then you gotta talk to somebody. Now, mind you, before I got into real estate, I was doing investment real estate. You remember? No, you don't. Do you remember a lady called Ashkenata
No.
or Carlton Sheets?
Carlton Sheets.
Or Carlton, you know, the get rich real estate classes that they had in the book, you know. I was doing all that. I was getting the daily journal. That was when the internet was prodigy. See, y'all don't know nothing about that. That's when the internet was prodigy. When you put in the number, you're that was then, okay? And so I knew a little bit of something about foreclosures before I got into it. So when I said I had to talk to somebody, guess what I did? I just reached back into my bag of tricks and I said, okay, I'm gonna work with foreclosures. So at that time, I got a program, found out all the foreclosures, I got a book off of Amazon. And I didn't read the whole book. It just told me send 6 letters and see what happens. And so what I did was I took those 6 letters. At that time, I was using Top Producer, put those letters in Top Producer. Top Producer reminded me when it was time to send those letters, I sent those letters. 3 months into that, I hired an admin agent or an admin that actually sat in the office, stuffed the letters for me. I just let her know from the list that I sent, from the software that I used. I just let her know which letters to send. And with that, that's how I built my real estate career my first month. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you, or my first year, I'm gonna show you how I did it. And then at the end of this class, you'll have those 6 letters that you can send out. Okay, is that good? Okay, but guess what? You gotta do the work. You gotta do the work. What did you learn in real estate school? There's either marketing or prospecting. Marketing is gonna cost you money. Prospecting is gonna cost you some money, but not a whole lot of money. Now, who can spend $60 bucks on 100 stamps?
Yeah.
So you imagine if you send out 100 letters and you just get 10 or 20 people reaching out to you, do you think that's a good percentage? Now, mind you, let me tell you something, they're gonna reach out to you. They're gonna cut you out. They're gonna start calling them. They're gonna tell you that you're already working with the bank. They're gonna tell you that it's taken care of. They're gonna tell you all of that stuff. And then some are going to tell you, how can you help me? Now, I'm giving you some real stuff. So I sent out those letters one night. I was late in the office. The office. Admit. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I'm gonna get that.
No, not that.
See, hold on, we're coming. Okay. You want me to?
I'm learning my job.
Okay. So it was one night, I was in this where the new team is. That was the office that I had, and I was, you know, ready to go home. The office was dark. I was ready to go home. My phone rang. And I was deciding whether or not I was gonna answer that phone, because I was headed out the door. It was about 7:30 at night. It was dark. And I was wondering whether I was gonna answer that phone. I turned around, I answered the phone, and it was a police detective that was on the phone that said, I received your letter, can you help me? And I was, sure, I can help you. No problem. When do you want to meet? He said, right now.
Oh, wow.
So I said, okay, what's your address? Gave me the address. The address was in, can I tell you something? I get chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you how the whole situation worked. So I get to in Harbor City, and he's sitting there in the dark. He has much equity in his property, but his credit was terrible. And he said, I'm about to lose my house. Can you help me? I said, absolutely can help you sell your house. Okay. And I can contact the bank to let them know to stop the proceedings that is about to take your property. Okay, so we do that. We take care of that. We get the listing. We sign the listing agreement. We put the property on the market. And I say, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to price it just below market so that we can get people to come in to see the property. It was like, great. Okay, so we put this, we sign the contract. put the sign in the yard, did an open house, and then all of a sudden, I got 5 other listings in Harbor City. 5, including that one, okay? So we had a caravan of open houses on one Saturday with all the listings that I had in Harbor City. Now, one of the agents was mad at me, Leroy Brown, he's still here. He was mad at me because he had Harbor City shut down, okay? And he was wondering, how did I come in here, a new agent, come in here and get 5 listings in a matter of a month, okay? So I'm on my high horse, we're doing all these houses. Couple of things happened. I want to share with you how the dominoes hit. So I had some new agents come in, do my caravan, okay? And I was going back because I had one house here and I had one house on the corner. And so I was at this house and I was walking down to the one on the corner when an old Mercedes, I mean, with the muffler came around, was at the house, and then all of a sudden they were coming back. And so I was like, excuse me. And they said, yeah, we went down to go look at your listing, but the agent told me that they didn't think we could afford it.
Oh.
Mind you, it was an old Mercedes. They looked raggedy. They did look raggedy. They did look raggedy. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I said, well, let me help you find what you're looking for. I let them look at the property that I was down at the corner, and then I sent them to subsequent properties. Guess what? That client from 17 years ago, she calls me brother. They're still a part of my family. Guess what? She was a mother of children actors, and her husband was an airline mechanic. So can you think that they can afford a property in Harbor City? Okay. So mind you, I'm on my high horse. Then my original seller that had $300,000 worth of equity called me. And he said, Fred, I said, yeah, he said, my family's gonna help me with my foreclosure. I'm like, he said, can you take it off the market? I'm like, sure, no problem. No problem. Took it off the market. 2 months later, Bob, I get a call. I'm laying in my bed. This is 7 o'clock in the morning. Hey Fred, how you doing? I said, I'm doing good. He said, I want to let you know that I lied to you.
What?
He said, some people down the street said that they could help me with my property. And all they did was move me into another one of their properties, rented this one out, and they didn't pay the bills. So now, wow, listen to this. Now the sale is gonna be tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And you don't. Now, this is a true story. This is a true story. Okay? So I said, now listen. I said, now mind you, I have $300,000 of equity. That equity was every month going down. So I said, listen to this. This is what we're gonna do. I said, we're gonna have to price your property way below market in order to get it in escrow so that the bank can recognize it. Okay? At that time, many of you know Tim Marshall. Tim Marshall called me. He said, Fred, he said, I have a buyer. Can you help me? I said, yeah, let's put in escrow. Guess what? In the end, I got more commission than the seller got when the property closed. Okay. Now, all of this happened because of a letter. All of that happened because of a letter. So go ahead, press next. Now you can press down here. Yes.
So rewind to the beginning of your story. As a female, how do I succeed in that scenario? Because if a prospective man calls me at 7:30 at night after dark and says, come meet me at my address right now, it's a hard pass for me.
Yes, it is. So that means you call somebody to partner with you. Yep, preferably a male. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Of the male species. So yes. we come to the- and no-
I have to share my commission. just
No,
because
no, I did not say share your commission. I said call somebody to go with you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Donating their time.
Well, I mean.
Wow.
Listen, can I tell you something? And I'm gonna start you guys right now. That is the culture. That is the culture of KW.
Correct.
The culture of KW is we are here to help. Not just to come in. Yeah, your mentors get paid when you close. Your coach gets paid when you close. Yeah, that's a given. But guess what?
Why we're on here? Oh,
We're not here to doubt you. We're not here to, if you think, listen, you can sit in the president and never even know it at this office.
Right.
Okay, that is why I've been here going on 18. That's why you can't be moved. If you're gonna make
come
noise,
here.
mute yourself.
I have $1,000 here.
Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. So, mute. No, you didn't. Yeah. Read that. Okay, she did. Oh. So what we're gonna cover today is we're gonna cover, now y'all, don't talk about my arm, okay? Don't do that. I'm gonna talk like this. Hey, so. But, huh? No, they ran away before I got my phone out to take the picture, so I would have got paid.
I was gonna say.
I would've got paid. Yeah. So what we're gonna be talking about, knowing your foreclosure niche, foreclosure options, how to find homeowners with loans that are in default and facing foreclosure, how to get distressed homeowners to call you. And then here it is, the questions to ask the property owners calling in response to your delinquent letter or your ad. And then the letters that we're gonna be talking about. So next slide. So, module 1, why working with foreclosures is the single most way to get business today. Next. This is what we call, whether you're working with expired, SFISBOs, next. Expired, SFISBOs, anyone who has raised their hands. The definition of foreclosure is anyone who is 90 days or sometimes 30 to 60 days late. A lender can foreclose on any property that is late. More normally in California, before pandemic, it was 90 days. You were late 90 days, they will file an NOD. Now, from the 90-day foreclosure is when you're basically missing payments. And here are the stages in California. You have 90 days from the NOD. NOD is a notice of default, okay? From the 90 days, you have the ability, or the seller has the ability, or the client has the ability to solve that debt. Meaning they can do a loan modification, they can refinance the loan, they can do whatever, they can get the money that's required to catch up in that 90-day period, okay? After that 90-day period, because when you talk about the 90-day period, and I'll let you know what it is, they're gonna send you a letter. They're gonna call you. This is what you're gonna let the seller know. They're gonna call you. They're gonna send you a letter. They're gonna let you know that there's an intent of the notice of default. And then you have 90 days, okay? After the 90 days, then it turns into the notice of trustee sale, an NOTS, okay? This is a little different. They do not mail it. They stamp it on the door. And they don't use one piece of paper. They stamp a Christmas tree on the door of the notice of trustee sale. Okay? So that your neighbors and everybody will know, what's all that paper on your door? It's a notice of trustee sale. They want to, and they will mail it to everybody they think is on title to the property. They will mail it to your husband, they will mail it to your wife, they will mail it to current resident, they will do all of that so that they can cross their T's and dot their I's, okay? Now, from the 21 days, after the 90 days, you have 21 days. 21 days means that they want you to take care of that loan. Okay, yes,
I was just gonna clarify, it's 90 days, not 3 months.
right, 90 days, not 3 months, correct, from the date of the notice of default. Okay, so in the 21 days, they want the debt paid in full, they want everything paid. Okay, now, there are some options that you can do, and we'll talk about them. There are, go ahead, next.
And Fred, also on the notice of trustee cell, they're required to publish it in a newspaper once a week for 3 weeks.
Exactly, next, so everybody will know, next, okay, next. Okay. So, did you hear that? Not only do they stamp it on the door, but now it's in the newspaper, everybody knows it. Okay, and can I tell you something? I was there. The house I was in foreclosure. Went through the whole process, I was in foreclosure. Okay, that 2007, 2008 situation, that was me, and I was working here. He said, well, wait a minute, you said you made 6 figures in your first year. You started in 2005, 2007 was when the crash happened. What happened? Well, let me tell you what happened. I was making so much money that before I was making the money, I took a second out on my home. I was okay because my bill was $3,800 a month. I was cool because I was making good money. But when the market fell, I couldn't afford $3,800 a month. So I spent a year not paying $3,800. And I was an REO agent for the bank that held my loan. Dig that, okay? So I knew what was happening, but because I knew what to do, it saved me. So now my home is worth $950. I pay $1,400 a month, and I only owe $240. See, so when you know what you know, no one can mess you up. Okay, that's why I want to inform you and teach you guys this. So know the options of foreclosing before you get to the door. Listen, sellers only have particular options that they can use. Next, there are only options that they can use. Okay, number 1, click. Bring the loan current. They can bring the loan current, and when they bring the loan current, everything's satisfied. Okay, next. They can refinance the property. Now, what are the chances of them refinancing the property if they're in foreclosure because the notice of default is filed on the property?
Negative goes back.
But is it an option?
Yeah.
See, because options are good, because when you give people options, it means that you care about them. Now, let me tell you something. I do care about my clients. I do care about the thing, because once it happens and I do what I do, and then I drive by and see that white letter that says this property under the supervision of the bank, it makes me feel some kind of way when I was in front of them and they said, we've got this taken care of. Next. They can work with the lender. They can work with the lender, and when they're working with the lender to find out what they can do, what type of options they can have. They can have a, what did I tell you this morning? A forbearance. A forbearance is where they take the late amount, put it on the end of the loan, that you have to make a certain amount in order for them to approve. I went through all of it, okay? You can make those adjustments. Next. And then bankruptcy. You can file bankruptcy. Yes, bankruptcy works, but bankruptcy is a temporary situation. Bankruptcy attorneys are gonna say, pay me to file a bankruptcy on your property. Did you know you have to go to the bankruptcy court, make that happen? And then once you make that happen, you gotta make those payments. If you don't make the payments, guess what? It goes right back into the foreclosure status. Can I tell you this? I'm just giving you a secret. When you file bankruptcy and you're going through foreclosure, the bank files a notice of default. The bank does not forget that you're in bankruptcy or foreclosure. Now, you have a bold situation because you can tell the bank, I'm in bankruptcy. They can't talk to you about it. But guess what? The bank is looking at your court records, and the bank is going to see when you stop making your planned payments. And once you stop making your payments, the bank is going to start the foreclosure process off right where it left off. So it was after the 90 days, they're gonna start that 21 days up right away, yes.
They can also have themselves excluded from the bank.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Next. And then sell the property. This is where we come in. Yep. But guess what? These are all options. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. You never go for the jugular. Never go for the jugular. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you want to sell your house? No. You want to go to the client, you want to say, listen, here are your options. You want to show them on paper what their options are. And then let them decide what they want to do. Case in point, I had a property in Signal Hill. The buyer was in foreclosure. I reached out, he got a letter, reached out. He said, well, I don't know what to do. And I said, why don't you do what I did? Because at this time, I had gone through the NACA program, the loan modification program. And I said, why don't you, now mind you, these things are gonna keep memories in your head because I remember exactly where I was when this happened. Okay, went to visit him, it was a condo in Signal Hill. He said, well, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I said, well, here are your options. You can do this, this, or this. I said, why don't you try a loan modification? I said, you have, you're upside down, you can go to NACA, you can see what they'll do, okay? So I left him alone, he went through NACA, he called me, one day I was in church, sitting in the back seat, sitting in the back of church, he said, Mr. Howard, I said, yeah. He said, I just wanted to call and tell you, I went through the NACA program, however, I did not like the terms that they were giving. He said, I didn't like what they were giving. He said, so can you sell my condo? I was like, sure. Happened now. But real estate is about relationship. And this is where you want to put yourself. Do not negate these things on what they can do, because when they find out what they cannot bring the loan current, when they find out they cannot refinance the property, when they find out they can't work with the lender and the lender's not able to give them what they want, when they find out that bankruptcy is a temporary fix, now you put yourself in a situation where no other agent is, because other agents are going for the jugular. You are an agent of information, okay? You're providing them information that no one else will. Next.
So within that 21 days, if you say they've gone through all those other options, they've tried them, they haven't worked out, doesn't that leave you a very, usually, maybe often a small window of time?
It sure does.
Yeah.
But what's it to do? Remember I told you what happened with the first client? You let them know, listen, we're going to have to reduce the price so that we can get it sold right away.
Right.
Now, mind you, throughout this process, after the letters, once you connect with the buyers, you also have to create a relationship with the bank so that you'll be able to talk with them. So I'm just giving you up to the letters, but once you get in front of the client, then you gotta have that third-party authorization that you send to the bank, that the bank approves, so that when you call them, you can talk on behalf of the buyer. You can let them know what is going on. And listen, the reason why I really want to give you the foundations of this is because sometimes you don't win. And sometimes you get to this place where you think you're not going to win and you end up winning. I had a client that had two properties, one right next door to each other. It was in probate, in foreclosure. We worked with it, going back and forth with the bank. The bank's going this, bank's doing that, and we have a buyer, but the buyer's flip-flopping. And now we get to the point where the trust deed sale is today. I've been on the bank. Now, mind you get up early, because when you're dealing with the trust deed sale and you're dealing with the bank, you're dealing with 3 hours before you. So that means that you wake up at 8, that means that they're up at 5. So that means if you're trying to get this working, you got to be 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so this particular morning, we're in escrow. Something's happening with the buyer that they can't close. Escrow, the bank has not called on the trust deed sale. We're sitting there, the property's in Long Beach. We're sitting there, I'm on the phone with the bank, and the bank is saying, well, if you want to stop it, you got to go to the trust deed sale. And that was in Pomona. Okay. I said, well, I can't get to Pomona before 8 o'clock. I've been on the phone with you for the last 2 hours and you haven't told me. Well, I'm sorry, Ms. Howard, the only thing you can do is go there and talk to the trustee. So, you know what I did?
Went there and talked to the trustee.
Freeway to Pomona?
Because it was too late. Went to the seller, drove to Long Beach, and I said, listen, I just want to let you know that we did not stop the foreclosure. The bank is gonna sell your property today. And so if someone comes today and knocks on the door and saying that they're the owners, I just want to let you know that it did close. Because I wanted to give her that news, okay? So I'm on my way home from Long Beach, and the bank calls me. And the bank says, Mr. Howard, yes, we did not sell the property today. So we're gonna wait for you to close this. Okay? And you know what you're doing. Sometimes you may get this close to losing, but you keep the faith because the processes remain the same. So there's an old saying in businesses, nothing happens till someone sells something. Well, nothing happens in the pre-foreclosure process until the bank files a notice of default. Okay?
Is there any way we could like go back and see that quote right there and then move that bar, that top bar?
Yes.
I'm good, yeah.
Yes, let's do this.
Now, the difference between the foreclosures in 2007 to now is now people have equity.
That's what we're gonna
In
get into.
2007.
That's what we're gonna get to.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's an old saying in business that says, nothing happens till someone sells something. Well, nothing happens in the pre-foreclosure property investment business until a lender notifies a borrower that his or her loan is in default status and files either a foreclosure lawsuit or a notice of lis pendens. Now, are you guys familiar what a lis pendens is?
A little.
I studied it all.
Yeah, lis pendens, now, put it this way, the property that I was telling you about in Pomona, it had a lis pendens on it because the daughter and the father were fighting. And the father slapped the lis pendens on it, saying that I won't lift it until we actually get into escrow. And then, guess what? The Sunday, which was this past Sunday, I get a call from the seller, which is the daughter out here. She says, I just wanted to call and let you know my dad passed yesterday. So I thought that escrow, because you know, when somebody dies, it tells us the property is, but guess what? It was her name on the property. He had a power of attorney, so someone was able to say they actually had gotten that taken care of. So, you know, you have those things going on, okay? So, homeowners that are in equity, how do you find those? When I was growing up in real estate, there was something that we got called the Daily Journal. The Daily Journal was a newspaper that I got every single day. And it listed all of the foreclosures. I don't even use that anymore because paper is dead. Some people say that. I don't want to get that in the mail, but I use Property Radar, okay? And you can also use Retran.net. Now, I give you Daily Journal because it's something that's out there. I use Property Radar. I also use Retran. You want to know why I use Retran also? Because Retran, can I sidestep? If you foreclose at $500,000 and your property is worth $700,000, the bank is not going to come to you and tell you that there's $200,000 that you can give them. Did you know the sellers are due that money?
Yes. Yes.
But do you know the bank is not going to tell them they're due that money? The wonderful thing about Retran is Retran will give you a list of how much the property is sold for, how much it's worth, and how much you go back to the seller. Outside of real estate, you can go to the owner and say, listen, I'll help you find your money if you pay me 30% of the amount of money. That's just another class, okay? So property,
Back in the
go ahead.
2007, 2008, Retran needs to put in phone numbers too.
Exactly. So I use Property Radar. Property Radar, this is an idea of what it looks like now. Before, everything was like this. Everything was like this, a -52. That means that it was this upside down, okay? But if you notice, in this area that I chose, all of these foreclosures have equity. These are foreclosures. These are pre-foreclosures. There's $550,000 worth of equity, $310,000 worth of equity, $687,000 worth of equity, $779,000 worth of equity. Do you think you can work with somebody who has equity that may price their property below market in order to get it sold?
Well, we need to help them to make sure they doesn't go foreclosure.
Exactly.
Doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. You need to help them to make sure that they do not have to give their property to the bank. And that's literally what it is. You know, they're literally giving their property to the bank. Okay, that's me. Okay, how do you get homeowners to call you? This is how you do. You send us a series of 6 letters. I'm gonna read these letters to you because basically they're all pretty much the same. You have the date, you have Miss Default, okay? That's her name, Miss Default. Y'all supposed to laugh on that, okay? 4569 Debtors Lane in Los Angeles. This is what it says. Dear Miss Fault, as you should already know, your mortgage, I'm gonna show you 2 of the letters. That's the first one and the last one, the first and the 6th one. It says, as you should already know, your mortgage lender has just filed. Now, I want you to take a note of what I'm saying in this letter. Now, many of you can say, well, I can't do that. I don't do that. Let me tell you something in advance. Yes, you can, okay? As you should already know, your mortgage lender has just filed a lawsuit in the Los Angeles County Courthouse to foreclose on your mortgage. This means that if for whatever reason you cannot bring your loan payments current before the scheduled foreclosure date, your house would be sold at public foreclosure auction sale on the 3rd floor, or I didn't change that, but I'll change it by the time you get it, on the courthouse steps of the Los Angeles County Courthouse to the highest bidder, and you will be evicted by the new owner. If your house is sold this way, you will get absolutely nothing from the sale. The bank holding your mortgage only cares about getting back the money that you owe them. They do not care about what you get, okay? You could put your house on the market and try to sell it yourself, or you could take your chances and list it with a real estate broker. However, right now it takes about 4 months to sell a house in Los Angeles County. I specialize in helping people in Los Angeles County who are in foreclosure, and I can help you too. All that you have to do is pick up the telephone right now and call me at whatever number you put to set an appointment so that I can make you an offer to buy your house today. I'll give you a cashier's check for your house within 5 business days from today and stop the foreclosure and keep it off your credit report. I will also help you find another place to live, and I will handle all the details of the sale and deal with your lender and the title company processing all of the paperwork that is necessary to transfer the property's title. I look forward to hearing from you very soon, to working with you to stop your lender from foreclosing on your house. What in that letter causes you to pause?
I will buy your property.
And I will buy your property. What else?
Where's the money coming from?
Don't answer the question. I want to know what causes you pause in this?
I will buy it.
I will buy your property. What else? I will buy your, anything else?
I don't have a check within
5 days.
I will have your check within 5 business days. Anything else?
We'll be off the credit.
Be off your credit?
I'll the I will.
Yeah. Because the I wills are doing what?
Making promises.
Making promises. Can I keep those promises? Bob, can I keep those promises?
Absolutely.
Okay.
How, that's the next.
Yeah.
So, first of all, did you have a question?
I said, I'll be calling you.
You'll
That's
be
how I
calling
do that.
So first of all, how many of you know people who buy houses for cash?
Yep.
And how many of you receive emails once you've had, or text, once you have a listing that's a fixed reference, say, hey, I buy houses in California, all I need is houses that are not on the market yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All day long.
Okay, so you can work this 2 ways. I always tell those that want to purchase it without it being on the market, I said, I want to put it on the market because I want to get the credit. Okay, I'm gonna do that. But you always have people who will buy houses for cash. It will not be for full retail price, okay? It will not be for full retail price, but guess what it will do? It will get them out of foreclosure. Okay, now mind you, do you think I cut myself off when it said, or you could take your chances, or you can take your chances and list it with a real estate broker. Guess what? I'm a real estate agent. Okay, I work at a brokerage. But I give them options. My job for this letter is one reason and one reason only. Do you know what that reason is?
Get them to call you.
That's it. That is it. I want them to call me. And here is the last letter. The last letter is, this is my last letter to you. In 2 weeks, your house will be sold at a public auction in Los Angeles County, steps to the highest bidder, and you will end up being evicted by the new owner. Are you really prepared to lose your house through foreclosure and then be evicted by the new owner all within the next couple of weeks? I very seriously doubt it. This type of traumatic experience is both financially and emotionally devastating to most people. The choice is up to you. You can sit on your hands and do nothing and suffer the embarrassment and financial devastation that comes from having your house foreclosed on, or you can call me today, okay? The choice is up to you. Fortunately for you, there is still enough time left for you to act. As I have been telling you all along, I can give you a cashier's check for your house within 5 business days. All that you have to do is pick up the phone right now and call me so that I can stop your lender from foreclosing on your house and leaving you with no money. And guess what? I never got to the 6th letter. I only got to maybe the 4th letter. And you may be saying, well, Fred, because I had to ask Al this. We were at ALC retreat. I said, why did I stop doing this?
Exactly.
You know what I realized? Guess when it happened? Guess why I stopped? The market crashed. The market crashed. I was about to lose my house. My mother passed. And all of that threw me off my game.
Yeah.
And then I started doing other things that were being productive. But I never went back to this. So now you're in a peculiar situation. You're not where I was, because not only did I have to know how to do foreclosures, but what else did I have to know how to do, Bob?
Hello?
Just to sell houses.
Short sales.
Oh, yeah.
Had to know how to do short sales. I really had to know how to talk to the bank, so the bank would accept an offer on the property that was way below what the property was worth.
Especially when they have 2 or 3 or 4 loans.
Exactly, exactly.
I don't have any-
And see, the interesting thing, did you know the loan that forecloses, if the second forecloses, the first is gonna come in and swoop that because they don't want to be caught off guard. But if the first loan forecloses
you know,
and it has 2
Everybody
or
else
3 loans,
loses.
everybody else loses. If you have a $500,000 first, a $100,000 second, and a $30,000 third, guess what?
$3,000.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Right.
They got $3,000.
Yeah, they got
that
3
was
grand.
interesting.
You know, they got some money, but. Okay,
Fred, I had one with first, second, HOA lien, IRS popped up at the last minute,
Wow.
and child support.
wow,
Got it done.
you got it done.
Got it done.
All right, see? How did you get it done? Tell me how you got it done.
First of all, I think it was an equator, so the process of dealing with the first and the
Ooh,
second
equator, yeah.
was easy. The HOA, there's no money, so we can't pay you, sorry. And the child support, the wife, just ex-wife decided, that's okay, I'll remove that lien. The IRS one that popped up, contacted the IRS and said, it's a short sale, there's no money, sorry, remove it, okay. And yeah, it took another 30 days to get removed.
Bob mentioned equator. If you're familiar, when you get into this business, when you start doing REOs or bank owned property, specifically sometimes at Bank of America in Wells Fargo, equator is the portal that you use in order to process the short sale and the sale with that property.
Are they still using it?
I'm not sure.
I don't know,
I'm not sure.
I might still have a login, I don't know.
Yeah, they're still
Years.
trying to charge you that big exorbitant saying that we'll give you these REOs if you sign in.
Yeah.
I'm the one that had bail bonds on it.
Mhm.
Nice.
And I called the company and told them that I had the house for sale and I guaranteed them that the seller would not get any money when we, when it closed. And they forgave the whole $40,000.
Ouch. Now, mind you, you're in a different situation now.
Very different now.
Because unless you specifically, you saw that list that I gave you, unless you specifically pull a list that had that houses upside down, you're gonna get homes that are, that have equity.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, you have to understand, you gotta understand your neighborhood, like if you go in 90047, most of those that are being foreclosed are reverse mortgages. That's a whole different,
Right.
thing that you're dealing with, okay? So, reverse mortgage, they can foreclose on you for not reporting that you still live there.
Right. That's actually something
As a kid, it's still.
because,
But I'm on a call.
to live
I'm
here,
on a Zoom meeting.
they'll file a notice of default on it,
Right.
where it isn't.
I don't remember. Can you call me back? 'Cause I'm on a call.
Go ahead and mute yourself if you gotta talk.
Yeah.
Okay, mute yourself if you have to talk, please. Thank you. Okay. So,
But the point is, I personally would not use this strategy on a reverse mortgage.
right, well, you'll never know. See, that's the thing. I just said 90047 because what I noticed while I was mailing it out to them
Yeah.
was that most people that I were talking to were doing reverse mortgages.
Very old community there.
Right, and so I had one lady, I mailed out a letter back in 2018. And up until 2000, not 2018, but 2007, up until 2017, 18, she was like, hello, Mr. Howard, how are you? I just remember, they say things. I just remember I had something with your name on it and it was on my refrigerator. And so this is the lady, it's in her property in there, and she, you have to listen to some of those stories sometimes. I get the salon and the property was sitting next to it, and I just sit there and listen, even though I can't do anything for it. So it's just, that's why you want to know get the foundations of what you're doing. Yes.
Question, on a reverse mortgage, is there any way to find out how much is actually spilled into the bank?
Yes.
How?
Preliminary title report and a payoff demand. You request a payoff demand.
Okay.
Well, if it's in foreclosure, though, the foreclosure amount is in real list.
Yes. Sometimes. It gets crazy.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Chris, did you ever where people called you and said they're not in foreclosure and come to find out that the APN was wrong, that when they bought the property, somebody put in the APN wrong?
No, I never had that.
Had some of those. there.
Wow, that's crazy. So now, what do you do when you get to the door? Because guess what? Somebody's gonna call. Somebody's going to call. What kind of questions do you ask? When did you make your last loan payment? What type of answer are you gonna get on this? Well, the pandemic hit, I worked with the bank and the bank told me I didn't have to do this and I had to do that, and
Then the story.
yeah. And then the question you ask, how much do you owe your lender in back loan payments, accrued interest, late payments, charge, and legal costs? Are they gonna know that? No, but does it put you in a place of authority? Okay. Then you ask the question, have any of your creditors filed a judgment lien against you? Have you filed bankruptcy? That's an important thing, to ask them if they filed a bankruptcy petition. The reason why is because even if you do list the property, you got to get that bankruptcy taken out before you can actually sell it. Okay? Has your lender started foreclosing on your loan? Do you already know that answer?
Yes.
How much equity do you think you have in your property? They'll tell you and then you'll show them. Are you willing to sell your property before your lender forecloses on your loan? And loan and have you evicted? Okay? When can we get together to further discuss your situation? So, how to use direct mail to contact property owners in foreclosure. Discover how you can use zip codes to target potential homeowners in foreclosure. Let me tell you something, direct mail is not dead. Direct mail is easy to use, it's cheap to use, it's quick and effective, and you can get it done right away. So if you look at, we've been talking about 72 Sold. 72 Sold has two arms to it. It has the arm where you pay $1,500 and the leads come in, and then it has an arm for DIY. Guess what? I'm working on a DIY for you guys, so that you guys can have the ability to use some of those things as once you sign up. I'm not making it, but I'm going to start mailing and texting the same process that they use for the TV advertisement, but I'm using Instagram and Facebook. Okay, which you can do via, what they talk about is, what they've been talking about on our meetings is our expired letter. The expired letter that they have, you send it out and you wait for them to call that number. Now, does it hurt for you to send out a letter with 60 cents? No. You got to do something. Remember, either you're gonna pound the payment by walking, knocking on door to door. You gotta do something. You're gonna get on the phone and call, or you gotta do something, okay? So, learn the way we use to make sure you stay in front and center of homeowners, okay? So, the words that you use, you wanna offer them immediate response, debt relief, cash for their equity, relief from foreclosure, relief from having foreclosure on their credit report. So you can do it manually or you can put it on autopilot, okay? And when I say manually or autopilot, manually means that you're gonna count on your calendar, you're gonna say, the letter goes out here, 14 days later it goes out. Mind you, each letter goes out 14 days behind each other, okay? So if you mail it today, 14 days from today, you're mailing out the next. 14 days from there, you're mailing out the next one. 14 days from there, you're mailing out the next.
So you're starting from their day one of NOD.
You can. You don't necessarily have to do that.
You can jump in there anywhere in the process.
Exactly. Just as long as they're getting that, and you want to stay as close as possible. I would say start within the first 7 days. So pull your list. You're going to pull your list for the first 7 days.
Right.
It's going to give you a list of those names, and you print it out, merge it on one of these letters, put it in a window envelope, 60 cents, mail it out. Okay.
So there's a question there. You put it into a windowed
I
envelope?
put it in a window envelope.
Okay,
So I put it in a window envelope with my name in the top and it has 2 windows, the one for the address and the one for the client.
got it.
It made it easier that way because I didn't want to do labels
Right.
for the people. I would just wanted to be able to merge code and stuff.
Gotcha. How many were you sending out a week?
I was sending out, at that time, I was sending out 200.
200 a week? Okay. That would make sense.
Every 14 days. So I would do the 14 days, the next 14 days, I would run another list.
Yeah.
So are we expecting a tsunami of foreclosures?
No.
I'm gonna be careful when I say this. The foreclosures are already there. The banks have not opened up the faucet on it. The banks have done the free work for the foreclosure, meaning you'll find a foreclosure, an NOD that was filed 1.5 years ago with no trustee sale, right? Yeah, because it's required, listen up, y'all, listen, it's required that an NOD is filed and NOTS is filed. No matter when the NOD is filed, So the banks, before the pandemic, they were doing foreclosures. Once the pandemic happened and they couldn't do them, they still filed the NOD, but they did not file the NOTS. So now you have a situation where you have a lot of foreclosures. So if you pull up in my system, how many foreclosures there are a lot of foreclosures. The question is, which ones are going to say, I'm tired of waiting on the bank to move. Let me go ahead and do this. I have equity. Let me go ahead and take advantage of the market.
So with those, they clearly probably all surpass their 90-day window and they're just in like a holding pattern.
Yep.
And the bank could throw that
Anytime. Yep.
anytime they've got 21 days from that date. Got it.
And a loop, I was thrown for a loop yesterday. I was thrown for a loop because a client called me and said, sister just got a letter, said, notice of intent to, and y'all asked me the question, so I can let y'all know. Go ahead, y'all.
That you said. Yes.
But let me know, because I want you to hear the whole thing, because I want you guys to get the foundation straight from the horse. But I got thrown for a loop because they got a letter of intent to accelerate on a loan back in 2006. No notice of default. No notice of trustee sale, but the letter had a trustee sale number. I'm still working on that. I'm gonna let y'all know what happens with that. And it's for $288,000. Don't they just be like that? No. Because let me tell you, the mother has been helping this girl out from you have a notice of default in 2006, a release of list pendants, notice of default in 2008, release of list pendants, notice of default in 2010, and then a notice of trustee sale in 2011, then a notice of default, and then a release of the list pendants, and the last thing was in 2017, which is notice of sale. So this is all convoluted, but I'll let y'all know what happens. Yes.
Okay. This makes me naive. What's wrong with these people that are sitting on all this equity, and why don't they just get some help and do something? It's crazy.
If they don't know anything.
Because people scared. It's scary. This is a scary market
Well, yeah.
for homeowners. Especially those that were caught in, those that are caught in the pandemic and lost their jobs and couldn't do anything. So that's what you have to be cognizant of that. You have to be caring about that. In this, it's not just about your commission. This is helping people for a lifelong. Okay? You get into a relationship because if you help them, guess what?
They help you.
No question? Question?
I want to go back to what Cheyenne had asked you, and I was mumbling and trying to catch up. She mentioned something, what you asked Cheyenne about the 90 days before the crunch?
Yeah, I was saying, okay, because of COVID, so a lot of them got the notice of default, and he was saying they still went ahead and served the notice of default, so that 90 days has probably long surpassed. And they're just in a holding pattern for the notice of trustee sale, because the banks aren't actually out yet, but they could any day now, so those people are literally just sitting on their hands waiting any day that could hit their door.
Exactly.
And start with the 21-day process, because 90 is already surpassed.
Right. Got it? Yes.
Well, let's say you got a notice of trustee sale 3 years ago and the bank didn't do anything. When do they have to start over?
They don't.
They don't, they could just.
They don't.
find anyone-
They got to, but they don't. They can literally, yeah, that is scary. It's real scary.
Here's the situation is that after the crunch, you know, and they stopped stopped having foreclosure departments, and so they just hide. The people that are there don't know what they're doing.
They never- they
They
never do.
absolutely don't know what they're
It
doing.
takes 4 years for them to do.
People don't know what they're doing, you take advantage of that.
That's right.
Okay, your knowledge takes advantage of that. Okay, so what are the next steps? The next steps are, guess what? I'm not selling anything.
Oh, come on.
I'm not selling anything. I am not selling anything.
Come on.
The next thing to do is find the lead source that you want to use, because there are many out there. Research the area that you want to work, whatever area you want to work, whatever area you're willing to drive to, okay? Get your envelopes, get your stamps, and here it is. Mail your letter.
What?
That's it.
That's it. I'm ready to go. I just need the letters. Is that where they are?
The letters are right there.
Got it.
Okay?
Social, are
So
they free?
social.fhret.com, 6 letters. Okay?
Now, you're gonna send us the 6 letters, because the board only have the first and the last.
No, that's 6 letters.
That is.
I just told you, it's gonna show you.
Can't see it, I'm not seeing it.
Oh, no worries. Yes.
How much is rebranded per month?
Trend, I think is $60.
How much?
I think, I am not positive.
Fred?
Anywhere between $60 and $80 a month. Yes,
A month?
yes. Anybody have a question for me online? No? Okay. Any questions? Yes.
I'm still mildly comfortable with I promise this, the letters, but it's not me giving that, so how do I make that guarantee to them, even though I got cash buyers in my pocket, but there's no telling that they're gonna be interested in that particular property to move within the 5-day window or whatever.
Doesn't matter. If you put on your flyer that says, I'll sell your house in 30 days.
Yeah.
Are you gonna sell the house in 30 days?
If I'm promising it, that is gonna be.
We'll sell in 30 days.
It's gonna take your price.
I'm making me to everything. If you walk in and say, I've got a cash buy, your house is worth 800,000, I've got a cash buy that'll give you 600,000 now.
Yeah.
Or we can list it and put it on the market and get you 800,000. What would you prefer?
Either way, I'm gonna get on the bank. Either way, I'm gonna get on the phone with your bank
Yeah.
to see whether or not we can pause your.
Yes.
Now, here's what the bank is gonna do. Let me tell you what's gonna happen. The bank is going to let the NOD run its. They're just not gonna file the NOTS.
Right, of course, because that was done in the power condition, like the 90 days.
Thank you. Okay.
We just have a hard time making promises, like guarantees that I'm not positive I don't fulfill.
I want y'all to do this.
Sell at the right price.
I want you to do this. You have your team in your pocket. Don't let that limit what you do, because let me be honest with you. I read, that's what that letter, what pops off to you, because it was the same thing for me.
Sure.
Because let me tell you something. Where I got this from, it wasn't built for real estate agents. It was built for investors. That's why I did not read the book. The book was saying investors that wanted to invest in foreclosures.
Yeah.
I didn't want to invest in foreclosures. I wanted to list foreclosures. So I made it mine. And I used the same language, because guess what? When was the last time you remembered everything that was in a letter? And so here's the key. Here's the key. You know what's in the letter, but you have to be willing to know how to answer it when they ask you, well, what about this check in 5 days? Well, we're going to do Miss Cheyenne, Miss Nugent.
Both are my names that work.
Okay, what we're gonna do is, Cheyenne, we're gonna try and get your house sold as quickly as possible. The key here is, we wanna make sure we pause the notice of default, because we wanna make sure that the bank doesn't sell the property from up under. Now, you have the option that we can go ahead and sell it for less than what it's worth, or we can put it on the market and sell it for the highest and best possible price. But even when we do that, I would still suggest that we put the price, the lowest price in the neighborhood, so that we can actually get a property. And guess what? You don't have to do anything. We don't have to fix it up. You don't have to do anything like that, because we want to make sure that you walk out of here with your head held high. But I want to stay here. I understand that. But right now, we're at a pinnacle where you have to do something.
Time is of the essence, yeah.
Time is definitely of the essence, you know.
You do have to remove the garbage.
Yes, you do have. So, always remember, I am always available. The keys to this. The keys to this is, you have the letters. Okay, mail, get your source. Mail, I would say this, if you say, what do I do when I leave this training class? What do I do?
I'm gonna go download a list of pre-foreclosure. Oh, the first I'm going to get the letters, save them onto my hard drive. I'm gonna download the list of pre-foreclosures and put in a process to start mailing them letters.
Don't forget to change the name on the letters.
Now, it is a Google Doc, so the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna download the folder to your computer so that you can edit them. Okay, so let me ask you a question. How did you guys like the class today? Was it informative? Or because I'm always correcting myself. So I never know everything, but I yes.
It was easy to follow.
Okay.
It made sense.
And the flip chart, the writing verbiage that you use.
Okay, thank you.
It was entertaining.
That's the only part I needed.
That's all. I know, right? But wait a minute, Bob, I know that's so much, but thank you for coming in, sharing your input, because it is always rich to have your input. I appreciate it.
I went through this during the short sale days. Short sales were how I survived, and
Yeah.
I got great at them. This is easier than that.
Mhm.
It's just getting in front of them is the key.
Now, I was sharing with Bob another, and I'll let you guys, those that are, I was sharing with Bob another tactic that I use for foreclosures. And I'm at an impasse on how to share it. The reason why is because I'm in very close contact with the owner of this product. And he charges for it. And I just paid for it. And like I was telling Bob, once I did this one, it's still dealing with foreclosures. I sent out labels, and literally my first time out, I got a listing that I sold 6 times. And this process, and I'll just give you a brief, this process is you pull your list, your same foreclosure list, you print out a label that looks like FedEx or UPS. It has a statement on it that says, we have a package for you that will be delivered, call this number, with identification number, address, and the client's name. And all you do is put it on, you don't talk to anybody, but you do have to physically go out to the property, and you stick the label on their mailbox or the first thing they come in when they walk through the door. And they call that number, the number goes to a call center says, yes, Fred Howard has a package that he wants to deliver to you. What day and time is good for you? They set the appointment, and then I'm just going to deliver the package. So, and the package only includes, guess what?
Here's your options.
That's it. Here are your options because you're in foreclosure. So I'm still working on how to do this. Maybe I'll do it this way. Maybe I'll show you how to do it. You give me the area you want to work. I'll give you the labels, and then you go out and label them. And then if the call comes in, it'll come to you. I'll work out that some way, somehow. But for me to give you the whole system, I think is not, I call myself, I am an ethical thief, okay? I am an ethical thief. I do R&D, I do rip off and duplicate. But this one, but this one is kind of right on the edge. So I want you to know I'm really thinking about how to do it, because there's power in numbers. So if you were to do a zip code, and you were to do a zip code, and you were to do a zip code, and you were to do a zip code, all you had to do was pass out 12 labels a week. And it was in 10 different areas. Guess how much business we could get? So I'm working it out. I'll let you know. But I want to thank you guys for coming and sharing today.
Thanks, Fred.
And thank you guys for online. Hope y'all got something.
Thank you.
Fred.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you.
Hello?